Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Wednesday webinar. Today we're going to cover some post-trade show best practices. Some of the topics that we'll cover today are how to manage new customer leads that you acquired from the show, how to manage and review your orders through your orders tab. We're going to show you some reports that you can run, and we'll also show you some other use case scenarios around selling to off-price customers. So first things first, we're going to navigate to the Contacts tab. So I'm sure you find yourself at trade shows acquiring, a big stack of business cards from new customers that you've met and reviewed the line with. One way to make sure that you have them in new order is by actually adding them to your contacts with a new order. And then that way you can engage with them by sending them line sheets or hopefully submitting orders. So I do want to start by saying if you're integrated, just make sure that you're checking with your IT team to make sure that you are managing new customers through that ERP. If you're not integrated, however, you can add companies by navigating to the Contacts tab and clicking New Company. I'm going to enter in the name of the company, and you'll see all of those fields in teal are the required fields you'll have to fill out. So let's say, Ray's Shop is the customer who we met. I'm going to fill in the name. This looks good. If I have, any addresses that I'd like to add at this point, we can do that. But just for the sake of adding it, we'll just add and hit save. So now my company has been created. And if I click into that company, I can add a buyer by selecting plus new buyer. And I'll enter that buyer's name. So let's say Ray Smith, and we'll use my email address. As an example. And then we'll select the sales rep who met that buyer. So let's say Jesse, and save. So now our buyer account has been created. So what I would recommend you to do is add in all of those contacts you made at the show. Make sure they're all added within your contacts group or your contacts tab. And then what you can do is send them a line sheet if they haven't already made any selections. If you don't, maybe they didn't actually pick out particular product. But what you can do is send them the line sheet of the season that you were selling at the show. In this example, let's say spring, summer 18. And we can actually send out this particular line sheet by navigating to send. Sending them an easy order so that way they can, submit that order quickly on their end via email. You can choose to include a PDF and or an Excel version. Note that there's an expiration date for that easy order. So one suggestion I have here is, maybe for those new customer contacts you've made, maybe you offer them up a discount and you set it to expire within 2 weeks to kind of create that sense of urgency. And then we will put in the contact who we want to send it to. Enter the email subject. So maybe nice to see you at the show. Take 10% off your first order by the expiration date of September 30th. Oops. And you can include any other messaging you'd like, maybe a personal note. You can also title the campaign. So maybe we say, trade show 10% off promo to remember, why we sent this out. And then we hit send. So now I've sent this out. And when I navigate to campaigns, I'll be able to see who actually looked at that email blast that I sent out. So if I click in, you'll see I haven't opened the email yet, but I can tab through all these headers to view who's actually opened the email. So the next thing that I do want to point out to you as well is, hopefully, ideally at the show, you would actually be creating those custom lists for new customers that you've met at the show by hitting the star to create a custom list and creating that custom list and sending them out to those new contacts. But in this case, we did review just how to send out that spring-summer line sheet containing all of the products. So, just start thinking for future shows, really being able to utilize those custom lists. So that way you can actually create those curated assortments for new customers actually in the moment. And you would avoid some of the follow-up that we're doing right now. So next thing I'm going to just take us through is actually how to manage those orders post-market. So if I navigate to the orders tab and I refine by order status to draft order, this is obviously going to show all of your draft orders that existed new order. And I just want to point out it's really important that you do go back and kind of clean up those draft orders. If this is something that, doesn't maybe need to exist anymore, maybe you've already submitted the order for Jessica's jeans and you have some extra draft orders that you had made at the show, I would recommend just deleting those drafts. Or in the case that, you drafted a bunch of orders and you actually do need to go in and edit and submit those orders, then you would just navigate to the pencil icon to basically make those changes in the working order and submit them. If you check off easy order, you'll notice that you'll see all of the easy orders that were sent. And then if we navigate to review, here are your buyer submitted orders. This is just a nice way to double check if you haven't kind of noticed all of the emails that you've received with buyer submitted orders. I know it gets really busy at the trade show. Sometimes you don't have time to check your email. What you can do is come back into the orders tab and just make sure that all of those buyer submitted review status orders are taken a look at and, possibly edited. And then once they're good to go, you can move them into either pending or actually move them into approved. So that way those are good to go there. Now, if I navigate to pending, these are obviously all of your orders that you wrote on behalf of the buyer. We have a ton of them in our queue here, but I just want to point out, that just make sure that you're going back into your pending orders and you're actually submitting them as approved, which is the final order status that it needs to be in to be an approved order. One kind of tip that I want to point out is if you go into more actions, You can actually view an allocation summary, which I think is really helpful prior to approving those orders. You can review it actually by multiple layers of fields. So for example, we can review by season and then department. And it's going to pull up this report that summarizes by those two fields. So it's going to take that order and break it down for you nice and easily. It just gives you a nice overview of, those rolling summaries by dollars and by units. So that way, if you do need to make any changes to the order, you have that nice high-level view. Okay, so I'm going to close out of here. Now, to properly actually approve these orders, you can go into more actions and you can move it to approved. I also want to point out too that you can bulk approve orders. You can actually do those in any of the statuses by selecting the checkbox. You can either select all, but just be sure that you actually want to change all of the orders. Just be careful there. So I've just selected 3, and I can actually move forward the status by coming up here and clicking that right pointing arrow. So just a little trick of the trade there. So that's how you're going to manage your orders. Now, I do want to take you through some of the key reports that are going to be really helpful post-trade show. So if I come into product, I want to show you the top 20 bestsellers. So if you come down to this report, you can set the parameters here. Now, what's great about this report is it's going to give you just a really simple report of those top 20 best-selling styles. And you can drill down by any of these filters that we have here. So you could maybe drill down just by the season. So, maybe the selling season from the show. You can select multiple seasons as well. And then you can select whether you want to just see, the total value of the orders, or maybe how many units you sold, or how many orders you had against each of those top 20 bestsellers. So let's take a look at units sold. I'm going to run it on the screen, but note that you can also export it to Excel. So here we have a really nice, clean view of the top 20 bestsellers. So definitely make sure that you're pulling that report at the end of the season. This is also, helpful even, for your production team to understand, what were kind of those top best-selling styles coming out of the trade show. You can also drill down by category if you just wanted to pull particular bestsellers just, from a certain category. It's really flexible there. So definitely make sure that you're pulling that report. If I navigate to Customer tab, and I scroll down to total bookings by company, style, color, and size. What's really cool about this report is I can actually, I can get a nice high-level view of, both, drafted styles as well as, booked dollars, because I can actually indicate which order status I want to pull. So really flexible here in terms of getting that information, that reporting. So you can drill down and, perhaps drill down by category to understand, what's really driving sales here. Kind of the same way that we're pulling the bestsellers, but this gives you that comprehensive view by style, color, and size. So I'll just, let's see, we'll run this and see what that report looks like as well. So you can see this is by the customer level, style, color, and style name, and then by size. So really comprehensive selling report for you to pull. The next thing I want to pull is this. I like this report. This is who did not buy the top 20 bestsellers. It's kind of the reverse of what we already pulled. So this is going to tell us, by customer who didn't place those top 20 bestsellers, and what you'd ideally want to do is filter down to those same parameters you use for the top 20 bestsellers, and then figure out, okay, let's see who did not buy those best-selling styles. So, maybe it is that you pull it by a particular category, and we can run that here as well. So, let's pretend we pulled the season and the category. In this case, it's really clear that, we have all of these retailers right here, Blue, Stacy's Stash, who didn't buy any of the top 20 bestsellers. So, what you can do is take these retailers and perhaps, you target all of these customers who didn't buy the top 20 bestsellers, curate a custom list of those top 20 bestsellers and send them out to these customers. In some cases, there might be a lot of customers who didn't buy them. And maybe this is a report that could be administered by, a sales manager and kind of divided up by sales rep, just to see, who of their customers didn't buy it. And then reps can send out those custom lists of your top 20 bestsellers to those customers. The last report that I want to show you, because I find a lot of people don't realize this report exists, is the buyer activity report. This is just a date range that you would pull. So maybe you'd pull the trade show, the dates of the trade show, or a little before and after. And you can actually run this report and find by buyer which buyer is actually using new order, or which buyers, I should say. And then, in this case, we don't have really great results here on our demo portal, but we can see when they last logged in, when they last placed an order, and how many orders they've placed, as well as the value of the order. So this is really helpful in terms of, going back and engaging with those buyers who, haven't placed any orders recently. And, going out and making sure that they have, the latest season. So, making sure that they're included in that blasting of the selling, the season that you were selling at the trade show. So the last thing that I do want to cover, and this is a little bit more pertinent to admin users, but I do want to point out that if you navigate to visibility, and again, this is a view that the admin users would have, and we navigate to inactive styles. So styles, that were taken out by, basically disabled due to lack of sales. In this case, we only have one inactive style. But one suggestion that we have here is, taking those styles that perhaps didn't sell, and suggesting those, maybe to your off-price customers. So you can actually, select all of those items. In this case, it's just the one. And you can add it to a custom list. And then that way you can send out that custom list to those off-price customers and hopefully, generate some sales off of those styles that didn't sell to perhaps your specialty customer. So with that being said, that pretty much wraps up the webinar for today. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to Heroes, HEROES @neworder.com. And have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much.